What's going on, Colts Nation? Appreciate you joining me for another video. And before we get into the video, just know that in the description there is a link for Green Gridiron where you can get mini helmets or authentic NFL helmets. Okay, and make sure to use the discount code INDSYN at checkout and use that referral code down in the description so that they know I sent you. Okay, so again, go to the description. Holiday season coming up. Mini helmets, mini helmet accessories, helmet accessories, whatever the case may be. You want it for you, your man cave, a loved one, whatever the case is. Mini helmets and authentic NFL helmets can be found on Green Gridiron. The link in the description. Again, that is code INDSYN for the discount code. I appreciate you stopping by. And now let's get into the video. What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video where today I want to talk a little bit about Anthony Richardson and some things that I've noticed, a comparison that I saw a lot of people talk about him and Josh Allen and how comparable, and I'm right there with you. I've compared him to Josh Allen quite a bit in the past before everybody hopped on that train. But something that I thought was really similar, especially for, really it's just kind of all around when you think about Anthony Richardson and how similar he is to another quarterback that draws a lot of different types of reactions, but it is true. Him and Mike Vick. Okay, obviously Mike Vick was a left-handed quarterback, so a little different. Obviously, it's not a complete comparison right there, but when you look at their skill sets, very similar. Mike Vick, obviously, electric. He was so fast. He was so elusive, and in that way, him and Anthony are different, right? In terms of their running style, they're different, right? I mean, Anthony's almost as big as Derrick Henry, so it's a little bit different. But nonetheless, you have both of them really good athletes running the ball. Anthony has some stuff to develop there, but you also, like, when they go to throw the ball, right? When you look at Mike Vick and look at him in the Atlanta days when he was passing, you look at Anthony Richardson, you look at their feet. Right, and that's a big thing with quarterbacks is their feet. And as you sit there, you go back and you look at it. Both of them get those happy feet going. Right, it's just a characteristic of these guys that are great runners, and that's something that Lamar Jackson, that's something that Josh Allen, these guys have been able to overcome, calm themselves down in the pocket. And then when it's time to move and roll out, they continue looking down the field, but also looking, hey, can I run? Is it smarter to run here? Right, those things that those guys develop. And Anthony, when you look at, and of course needs to develop that. That's something that I'm sure has been talked about, and that he has to continue to just try to make a habit of once he gets in the game, right? And I think the comparison is good because you look at Anthony, for his career, 50.2% completion this year, 44.4 overall. In his career, he's 5-5 in games that he has started. And, obviously this year, struggling a bit through the air in terms of touchdowns and interceptions. This year, he has 4 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Last year, in the limited bit that we were able to see him when he was an actual rookie, he had 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, also added 2 or 4 touchdowns on the ground. I think he had... I want to say he ended up with 7 total touchdowns last year, so maybe it was 3, something like that. He ended up with a lot of touchdowns last year for as much as he was playing, right? Had a really good start to the season, and we just haven't seen that. But when you go and look at Mike Vick, right, you sit here looking at his stats from he was drafted in 2001, and one thing I noticed right away, Mike Vick only played all the games in a season one time, and that was in 2006 when the Falcons went 7-9, and then he was suspended the next couple years after that. But early on here, man, you just look at Mike Vick by the numbers, his first year in the league. And now again, Anthony Richardson, completion percentage this season, 44.4%. Mike Vick, in the 2 games that he played, well, he started 2 games, appeared in 8 games as a rookie, but through 50 completions, 113 attempts, which is 44.2% completion. So obviously less of a sample size, but numbers similar, right? 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Then you go moving forward. That's when he becomes a starter. And in that year, he was actually in the running for the MVP, made it to the Pro Bowl, ended up finishing in 6th in the voting for that. But nonetheless, like as he goes forward through his career, right, that's really what we're looking for here is completion percent. And this is just by the numbers, okay? And numbers don't tell everything. Obviously, Anthony Richardson's would be better if there weren't, I think it's 18 drop passes, I believe, is what somebody said. I didn't look that up myself. I'm not going to lie to you. That was something I saw. Could have been an exaggeration, but I'd kind of believe it. Just in the Texans game alone, there was 5 or 6 drop passes. So the team has not helped Anthony. I've been steadfast on that point as well. The team has not been as good as it should be around Anthony, and apparently they're not really working hard enough. You know what I mean? Maybe if they put in more work, that wouldn't be the case, and hopefully that's able to change. But Mike Vick going for 54.9, 50%, 56.4, 55.3, 52.6. Like those are his completion percentages when Mike Vick was Mike Vick, okay, before the suspension and before the prison sentence. Mike Vick, with those kinds of numbers, was still in the MVP conversation, Offensive Player of the Year conversation, Comeback Player of the Year conversation, right? Making it to the Pro Bowl a couple times. Then he comes back, obviously, with Philly. Appears in games, but only starts one game his first year back, and then has a really good season with Philly. Takes over at quarterback, goes 8-3 for them. This was 2010, and this was the best year of his career for sure. And it honestly, and I'm one of them. I thought Mike Vick, holy cow, Mike Vick learned how to pass the ball. Like, bro went to prison, came back, got coached by Andy Reid for a season. All of a sudden about to turn back into Mike Vick, but upgraded version, right? So he goes nuts, 62.6% completion percentage, 21 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. So there are years where he was really good, but Mike Vick always prone to turnovers, which is probably the biggest critique with him and why his team, there was a year they went 11-4 in Atlanta, the 8-3 season in Philly, but really for Mike Vick, it was a lot of exciting plays that you see, but not always a whole bunch of winning. And so far, that's what we've seen, right? Mike Vick, you think about Mike Vick coming into the league, had accuracy, obviously had accuracy issues, was somebody who could throw the ball really hard. He could throw the ball really far and throw a good deep ball, but he would overthrow receivers throwing deep. He would overthrow receivers and be inaccurate in the short to intermediate. Who does that sound like, right? There's so many similarities in so many different ways for Mike Vick and Anthony Richardson, and at least we're seeing right now Anthony Richardson coming into the league, 21 years old, just turned 22 years old less than 6 months ago, right? This is somebody who's very young, just starting to mature into becoming a man, and obviously the coaches and leaders on the football team helping him in that process. Had to go through a humbling situation, something that we hope never has to happen again, right? And something that you hope reverberates to everybody. Anthony coming back, I saw a report talking about, hey, the energy in the locker room was much different than what it has been. So hopefully that renewed energy, right? People want to come to work. That's what you need. People that want to come in early, people that want to stay late, people that want to do more work on the field, people that want to do more work in the meeting rooms, and in the individual prep, right, training room, whatever it may be, actually putting time into it and the dedication it takes to have that championship mindset, right? It's almost become a cliche, that championship mindset, but it's the small details that matter in what you do, and it's the small details that make the Chiefs a team that, despite the fact they could be under 500 right now, they are able to get a field goal block at the very end of a game on what should be a chip shot field goal for Will Lutz, and are still able to stay unbeaten because they've done their homework. They knew on special teams where the weak point in that line was, and Denver made the mistake of being on the left hash instead of the right hash, knowing that being on that side and being on the left hash and where that vulnerability is with Forsyth on that line, it was all just one massive mistake. If they were on the right hash, they might be able to get that. Right? I'm not saying they would have. I'm just saying football's a team game. And at the end of the day, one factor plays into another to really be able to win games. But as we go forward, we need to see Anthony have have all the habits you need the quarterback to have, and that'll pass down through the rest of the team, right? And everybody, setting the example. That's what this whole thing with me and my take on the whole situation. That's what a lot of it has been for me, is just because he is the example setter. That the tap out wasn't okay because he sets the example. If he's allowed to come out of the game because he's tired and he's not going to push it for his guys, then that mindset is going to trickle down. Oh, the quarterback can do that? I didn't know the quarterback could do that. That's never happened before. If he can do it, hey, we can all do it. Shane's going to be okay with all of us tapping out at some of the most important points in the game. And obviously people have made good points, right? The next drive after the tap out, Josh Downs down to the 1 yard line, or maybe the 1 inch line, and we score a touchdown on the drive, which is a great point. And that was my thing. It was never about his performance on the field. And with him coming back, I just hope that he comes back with that same renewed energy that everybody else has, but that he just takes it more seriously. That's really all you want from everything we've been hearing. It's all you want him to take it more seriously, be more consistent, understand the situation, understand how volatile and fragile the position is in the NFL, and that nothing that you get in the NFL, like nothing you get is just going to be given to you. You got to earn it here in the NFL. And I think that's a great example to set for the team. And honestly, like, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, we're going to for sure make a run to the playoffs and start beating teams, but like where we're at, especially if we can just win some games, find a way to win some games, beat Denver toward the end of the season. If we can get that done, good chance we could squeak into the playoffs from where we are. We were 4-3, we lost 3 straight. We're sitting at 4-6. It's going to be tough to make it into playoffs, but I honestly think with Anthony coming back, we're going to be a more competitive team. The defense has been playing great. That's what we need, is for the defense to keep doing their thing, keep getting the ball back, keep getting opportunities. And we just need Anthony to sometimes just take what the defense gives you. They're not always, defenses don't want you to throw the 65-yard pass right on the money. They don't want you to do that. And I think that's something coming out of this that hopefully he's going to learn, right? He hoped that would be buried into his mind at this point, and it's not. And of course, it's not going to be perfect coming back. He was only out 2 weeks. It's going to be a lot of what we've seen. You just want to see growth on and off the field. And so far, it sounds like he understands everything, and he understands the situation that he's in and the situation and why this happened. And people are bashing Shane, and people are going to talk about Shane and AR and all that. I think the whole operation is going to be better because as Anthony is in his second year as an NFL quarterback, Shane is in his second year as an NFL head coach. 2024 has not been great for us, but we still have a shot to turn things around, win some games, maybe even get some of these guys into a playoff game, which would be cool, right? You want to see DeForest Buckner, Zaire Franklin, Kenny Moore, Quentin Nelson. These are guys you want to see be able to start and play in a preseason or a postseason game, hopefully be able to win. They almost won in Buffalo a few years ago. If we could get a win in the playoffs for this group, would be really cool just for the future. Is that possible? I don't know. That's, again, in the future type thinking. But this is something I was going to make this video, like literally going to make this video. And then that same day, Shane Steichen was like, well, we're going to go ahead and sit Anthony Richardson and start Joe Flacco. I was like, well, no real point to talk about AR being compared to Vick. But for all the comparisons to Josh Allen, I think this is a good comparison, something that we could be more realistic about, because Josh Allen's a 1-1. And I want him to get to that. I want AR to get to that and think he can get to that eventually. But outside of, the suspension, 2 years suspension and prison sentence, I think there are a lot of things that could be very similar between AR's career and Mike Vick's career. And hopefully Anthony can, just fine tune those things that Mike Vick was never really able to fine tune. So we'll see what happens. Of course, any news that comes out, I'll get it to you guys as soon as possibly can. Any changes that happen or anything that comes out, I'll get content to you guys as soon as possible. Got more ideas ideas, more content ideas. Going to be live for the game Sunday. So subscribe. Make sure you have notifications on so you can continue to get notified anytime we have any content dropping on this channel. Of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.